Hi, I'm Jake Deffinbaugh, and welcome to Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, a podcast where me and my friends talk about nostalgic moments and pop culture from our childhoods. We interview people such as actors, producers, composers, puppeteers, and more. We'll be sharing our favorite memories, talk about behind-the-scenes moments, and so much more. I'm your host, Jake Deffinbaugh, and welcome to this Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show episode.
Welcome to another episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show, everyone, where nostalgia comes alive. I am one of your co-hosts, Chris Bixby, and with me today is our other co-hosts, Matthew Johnson, Matt Bingel, and Wyatt McCullough, and our host, Jake Deffinbaugh. How are you guys?
Hello.
Amazing as always.
Doing good. As always.
Yep.
We're doing this.
Doing great.
Yes, and today's guest is an actor and voice actor. He was Kuzco on The Emperor's New School. He was Mr. Hackett and Curtis the Caveman on Phil the Future. He did other wonderful shows as well. And here he is, JP Manoux. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Yes, we are happy to have you on.
He was also on The Replacements, apparently.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was.
On The Replacements, yes.
Let's see how reliable that is.
We are very much Disney
No,
kids, so a lot of your Disney show work is
Same with Warner
very
Brothers.
nostalgic to us.
Right. So when you came home from school, was I on your TV? And
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I believe when The Emperor's New School came out, I was probably in like kindergarten.
Oh my
Or
God.
first
I
grade.
remember
That's
watching
all
Spider-Man,
it was.
Phil of the Future every day.
Yes.
When I got home from school.
That too, yeah, I filled it. Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
You guys, you're the future of our country.
Yeah.
Your nation needs you now. Now that
They
you're
did, they
grown
did.
men.
Yes.
How old are you guys mostly?
21.
All about the same age?
20.
24, turning 25 this month.
21
22.
turning 22 in a couple months.
And I'm 17. I'll be
So
18.
that's
22.
You're definitely my demographics sweet spot because I don't get recognized all the time, but if there's a barista or a young TSA agent or something like that, it's people in their early 20s who go like,
Yeah.
they freak out a little. And that's it. I don't look anything like Mr. Hackett right now. I look more like Curtis the Caveman.
Also,
today.
just didn't mention this. I know Scooby fans will love this as he was the voice in the first two live action movies.
Yeah, so there was, I think, hello.
Yeah.
There they are.
Well, me and Wyatt both
Look
have
at that. Look at that.
both of them.
I didn't continue to be the voice of Scooby or Scrappy. I think at the time I had just done something. I'd just done some voice work for somebody who was a producer on those movies. And maybe the guy who was doing the voices usually was in a contract negotiation or something. Like, I can't really explain how I stumbled into it, but there was an audition opportunity. I did it thinking like, there's no way this will happen. And then all of a sudden I got to do some voice work in those movies. And they even, I think, warned me at the time that like, this will be a temp track. Like, it'll probably get replaced later. But I'm pretty sure, I know with Scrappy Rex for sure.
It's definitely you. They were Professor Scooby in the second
Yeah, you
one.
were the voice of Professor Scooby. The
Professor, that's right.
Yes. That's one of my favorite scenes from the whole second movie.
Exactly.
When they're messing with the potions and stuff. I love that scene.
Scooby Brainiac.
Yeah. I guess I can start us off. As far as the Scooby movie goes, what's your thoughts on the movie, the first one turning 20 next month?
Yeah.
Really hard to believe. And you can tell what a kind of time capsule it is just by the cast, who are fantastic.
Exactly.
But to see all the directions everyone's gone in since and what they were doing leading up to it, no one could have been a bigger star, than Buffy the Vampire Slayer at that time. And, her relatively new relationship with Freddie Prinze Jr. And it was a lot of like tabloid fodder too, I think. But I love seeing, now my God, her name's going to escape me right now, from Dead to Me, and was in ER with me for several
Linda Cardellini.
Thank you very much.
And then
in my head, I wanted to call her Natalia or something.
And now she's gone on to now she's in the MCU.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the way they work, as you guys well know, is like, oh, she's one little bit as like, Green Arrow's like wife, like for sort of calming down a couple of scenes in an otherwise huge action movie. But she could come back as, a superhero herself.
Yeah.
You already know that she's going to, and I'm behind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. If you guys haven't seen Dead to Me, I think they're going to be releasing the third and final season soon. It's a TV show with Christina Applegate. It's so great. Really, really cool.
Cool.
So I guess to really kick this off, even though we kind of already have, but so for those who don't know who you are, can you tell a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Sure. Hi, people who have no idea what they tuned in for.
So that's the best one yet.
My name is JP Manoux, and I'm not anywhere near as French as my name suggests. My father's from France. My full name is Jean-Paul Christophe Manoux.
Oh, wow.
With a silent X at the end. But anyone who paid more attention in high school French class is more fluent than I am. Only until recently, last few years, have I been performing characters with my glasses on, and they're usually my real glasses.
Yeah.
That's just because I'm getting older. It's hard to the distance without them. I usually play comedic characters in all kinds of different media. I've been lucky enough since I first came out to Hollywood after graduating college at Northwestern University. I've been lucky enough to do work in commercials and TV sitcoms, and I've been a voice, as we've already referenced, separated from my body. I've also been a body separated from my voice. I've done a lot of motion capture work back in the 90s, back when you had to wear not the optical balls, but like giant magnets with an umbilical tether to, a big computer, and you had to stay in a certain magnetic field, which I'm sure is not healthy for anyone. But I was already losing my hair, so I don't blame that on doing motion capture work.
Yeah.
I pop up every now and then in dramas these days. It's not always a comedy, and sometimes it's a bigger part in a TV show, and sometimes it's a tiny part in a big movie. So I'm kind of all over the place, and mostly just enjoy getting to collaborate with smart, talented people. And if it's a comedy, that makes it even more pleasant because the people are already really funny, and the downtime is delightful too.
Exactly.
I'm all over the place. But
there you go.
Yeah.
So kind of taking it back to the beginning, like how'd you get into acting?
I think I used to always kind of credit being in high school, and I used to do a lot of assembly announcements. I went to a small school. It was about 220 kids, grade 9 through 12. So there were only like 50 or 60 kids in my class. So if somebody did an announcement at assembly, very quickly, everyone in the school knew who you were. And I would tend to do some comedic stuff, little sketches and things that made the faculty roll their eyes. But work it into an actual it had to be a real announcement for something real, but then my friends and I would figure out how to make it funny. And I had a drama teacher in high school who he was in his early 20s, like yourselves, and he had graduated from Northwestern University, and he thought that I would very much enjoy being around Chicago's improv and sketch comedy scene with like Second City and Improv Olympic and all that stuff. And he was right, because I ended up applying and going. And so Northwestern University was where I was an undergrad theater major, but I still didn't really have an idea of that, maybe I could be an actor as a profession, that I could be like a whole career until I graduated from college. But I always say that's like, when I first got into all this stuff. And then I forget, my mother has reminded me that she put me in like a children's theater class.
Oh, wow.
Way back when. And I hope I haven't blocked it out because of some trauma. I think it's just that I forget sometimes that in like grade school and junior high, I was always kind of doing whatever like the school musical was, or doing all kinds of silly stuff for the spotlight. I very much enjoyed attention. I used to do a lot of good impressions as a kid.
Nice.
When adults clapped or laughed that encouraged me. So I've definitely been on this path since kindergarten. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
So why don't one of you ask the next question?
Jakey, how about you?
All right. Well, who are some of your inspirations?
Like role
Inspiration.
models, people that like.
Yeah, who are some of your role
Yeah.
models?
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, like this window of time that I forget, like has very much informed the path my life took. I remember there was a show called Shields and Yarnell.
Oh, wow.
And you guys go on YouTube, you may be able to find old episodes of Shields and Yarnell. They were married mimes.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
For real, professional pantomimes who in the 70s, when everyone apparently had a variety show, Sonny and Cher,
Yes.
Donnie
Marie,
all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there
Marie.
also was Shields and Yarnell. And they used to do robots. They used to, pantomime like the two of them being robots. And one of their sketches was robots at breakfast. And it was just like a married couple and like moving through their house, no dialogue. I don't even know if there was music, but like, they were doing robot pantomime and like trying to pour cereal and it would all go all over the place because they were not very high-tech robots. And I thought that was hilarious. And I used to mimic the mimes and act that stuff out. And so physical comedy heroes early on were Shields and Yarnell doing pantomime comedy, which of course later ends up being the reason I do like the robot mime in Eurotrip.
Yeah.
And, embarrassing people at various wedding dance floors. That and I guess I'm trying to think of other like TV comedy inspirations and stuff at the time. For sure, later on when I got to college and I was in a class that was it ended with everyone doing a one-man show.
Oh, wow.
And usually what people would do is take a autobiography. So it's nonfiction, but it's written by, the character, the actual person, if they're a celebrity or a historic figure, or whatever. So it's not just like dry facts. It's got a voice, a perspective. And so people would usually take an autobiography and turn it into a sort of like 1 hour, one-man show. And I chose Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, wow.
So I did a lot of research and I watched so many of his like early shorts and things. And I physically were very similar. And because I'm generally well coordinated and was always interested in physical comedy, I would try to recreate some of his routines, come up with some new ones that would have been things that, maybe he would have done. And so Charlie Chaplin, definitely an enormous hero of mine and influence. But that's physical comedy. For vocal stuff, I used to love watching SCTV and Saturday Night Live. My mom would let me, go to bed with everyone else. And then because I was the oldest in my family, the oldest of the kids, she'd be like, okay, you can come out. And, let me come out and watch from 11 to midnight or until I fell asleep on the floor in front of the TV because she loved watching those shows, but my dad would go to bed earlier. And so my mom and I watched a lot of Saturday Night Live and SCTV, and that stuff I thought was so smart and funny. And then later on, Kids in the Hall for sure was an influence. When I was in college, I was watching Kids in the Hall with my friends, and we just thought they were the most genius sketch comics. And we definitely wanted to be like them. And then also when I was at Northwestern University, there was a show called The Meow Show, which was kind of like a Second City show. It was part improv and part sketch, and people would come up with characters and things. Julia Louis-Dreyfus had been in it a few years before me. After me, Seth Meyers and a bunch of other people went through that show on campus, and it was if you were a freshman, and you were watching this show, there were always a couple of people in there who you would just blow your mind and be inspirations. Yeah. So for me, there were John Lear was definitely a guy that I idolized. You might know him as the first Geico Caveman.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And he's had some other shows. One's called 10 Items or Less that was partly improvised about life in a grocery store. And then he had another one called Quick Draw about like the Old West.
Yeah.
You can find them. I don't know if they were on TBS or TNT where they're streaming right now. But anyway, John Lear was somebody who was at school when I was there. I idolized absolutely. And then, professionally, anytime I get to be like on set with someone who I thought was great in something earlier, like it's still tough not to, get a little starry eyed and a little starstruck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the roles of Curtis the Caveman and Mr. Hackett on Phil of the Future come about?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm kind of curious about this too.
I mean, you would not believe how much of most of our lives and careers is just fate, weird chance, being in the right place at the right time. So I had auditioned originally to be the Caveman.
Yeah.
For the pilot of Phil of the Future.
Oh, wow.
It was called, the pilot was called The Out of Timers. They renamed it.
Oh, wow.
Out of Timers.
Oh, wow.
And the original script called for a like 7-foot tall hulking behemoth of a caveman. Right. And that was what was going to be funny, they thought, was that there was going to be this like kid and this giant caveman as his sort of like buddy sidekick. Sort of a little like, Han Solo and Chewbacca kind of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the convenient thing for Disney also, and maybe Nickelodeon thinks this way too, is they cast an actor who is in the role of Phil.
Ricky Ullman.
A little older than the character really is, but hopefully somebody who's already kind of short, so that if the show goes for years and years, the parents will always still look like parents, to the kids, because it's always weird when like the kids are suddenly taller than the parents on a Disney show or something, They called him Ricky Ullman at the time, but his name is Raviv. Raviv and this giant like stuntman, pro wrestler type guy, and they shot the pilot, and they had two problems. One was because the actor was so tall. Anytime they would do reverse shot of the two of them talking, or any scene together with Phil and Curtis, they would be looking down at Phil over the shoulder of Curtis Caveman. That's fine, because you've got a whole set and you've got a floor and everything. You just pull up the tape marks or whatever, and you can see the floor. Right. And then they would shoot over Phil up at the Caveman. They would have to put in ceiling pieces because these sets they're not shot in real houses, they're shot on a soundstage. So it's just walls, and the walls can be removed all the time. Everything is mobile and like just gets sort of stuck together right before you shoot. And you make sure the light, because a lot of the lighting is like on a grid up there. So you can't have ceiling pieces. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh man, every time we have to shoot this way, we have to put in ceiling pieces, figure out how to light them so it's not weird shadows and all this stuff. And despite all that, they're like, okay, we're going to make it work. And when they showed the finished pilot to kids for a test audience, kids were scared of Curtis the Caveman.
Oh, wow.
No. Yeah. It seemed on paper, it seemed great. It's like, we got this kid and he's great big caveman. But then
he was probably like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah, forget the logistics. If kids don't like it, like we have to figure out something else.
Yeah.
So I had auditioned as like an alternate choice, an alternate way to go. It's like, or maybe he has a little buddy. But that's not the way it's written. It was just kind of like, I think they got tired of seeing so many huge guys come in who maybe weren't funny, and then they brought me in because they thought I was funny. But then they're like, it's not going to happen. We're going with the big guy. Okay, so they shoot the whole thing. They do it. They're like, oh no, now we're in trouble. What they decided to do was just pull the pilot episode and keep going forward with production on episode 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Mm-hmm. And because they had liked my auditions and other stuff I'd done, they said, we have this other teacher character, Mr. Hackett. Oh, yeah. What's going to become of him? And if you're interested, like we'd like to offer you that part, which is, it's so rare you're offered anything. So it was like, oh, fantastic. Thank you. Great.
And it's a Disney. So
Yeah, it made
Yeah.
it.
But it only promised to be like, 2 or 3 episodes. So we were shooting like episode 3 or 4 at that point. It was like my second or third episode as Mr. Hackett.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And one of the producers was talking to one of the other producers, and I was walking by them during like a lunch break or something. And they was like, hey, how's it going, guys? And they're like, oh, real problem. Cause like, now we know we want to redo the pilot. We have to like come up with this Caveman character because he's written into all these other episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like we've been auditioning Caveman again, a whole nother round of bringing in these guys who are now smaller, not huge guys, smaller.
Right.
But they're like, the problem is they just keep saying like they wish that, it could have been JP. Like they liked what I had done more than what these guys were doing.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's tainting their image. Every time we see someone come in, they're like, yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but it's not. So I benefited from like defining the character first, and then everyone else had to like redefine it. And I said, I don't know why I was brash enough, stupid enough, brave enough to say it. I said right to their faces, I'm like, I could do both parts. And they were like, ah. And I was like, no, seriously. Like, I think, this is probably my last episode as Mr. Hackett anyway. I could do a whole makeup thing, whatever. And like, I don't even know if people would notice. And they were like, okay. It was so
Got it.
like, I think one of the producers was working on The Amazing Race, and maybe he was going to leave the show at the time. So he was kind of like, sure, fine.
Yeah.
You're Curtis the Caveman.
That's
So
cool.
at first it was like I was supposed to be Curtis, then I did Mr. Hackett, then I was going to do Curtis because Mr. Hackett wasn't going to come back, and then they started bringing back Mr. Hackett, and I was now playing both parts. But it was not the plan. Disney Channel did not plan to have, 1 out of every 3 kids recognize that Mr. Hackett and Curtis the Caveman are the same person.
Yeah.
And that's about what the ratio is. In your group of 5 guys here, did all 5 of you know that they were the same actor?
No.
I did. Yes.
I think I did. I probably didn't register it
Yeah.
Yeah.
at the time. So
We'll go watch it after this and we'll recognize.
How I first learned about that is I saw your cameo page,
Yeah.
and that's where I kind of
Like,
figured
wait,
that out.
both? Yeah.
both.
And
Yeah.
usually if I meet like 3 20-somethings together, like one of them will say like, oh, and you were Curtis the Caveman. The other 2 will be like,
Yeah.
what?
But that show's all amazing.
It is.
It only ran 2 seasons. I think
It should have
know.
been more.
Yeah.
And they're both on Disney Plus.
they are now.
Which is good. Yes.
I think
Good.
we got pulled because of Hannah Montana. I think they needed to
Probably.
make space.
Probably.
Bring it back
for,
now.
That would make a lot of sense.
For Miley
That was a very
Cyrus.
popular Disney Channel show.
Yeah.
And that
Really
was
cool
the
show,
model
too.
for the next few years was like every show had a girl who sang, and
And then
Yeah.
Even with
Bill
Phil the
Hader,
Future,
which is a
they-
boy main character.
they wanted Ali Michalka to
Yeah.
like sign away her whole professional music career to Disney, and
Oh,
she and
dear.
her family said no. So maybe that also had reason to do with why we didn't see more Phil of the Future. But yeah, in that window of years, they very much the Disney Channel lawyers and everybody, they wanted to own everything that you wanted had to be funny, comedy on TV, but also with albums coming out and be able to go on tour. And I don't think our show was, everyone thought our show was smart and funny enough to exist on its own without having to be, all these other branches of branding and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think Disney might have tried to do that with the Jonas Brothers too.
Yeah.
If it came
the
back,
Jonas Brothers were already very established a musical act, so for them it was kind of like they were dabbling in television,
Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
if Phil the Future came back, would you return for it?
Absolutely, yeah.
We need
I
it.
feel like so many of those what I think is a good era of Disney Channel shows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So many of them got to either get to an actual, conclusion. We left everyone with a cliffhanger, and that was it. We never came back to find out why Curtis is still stuck in, 2003 or whatever year it was. And or they get to do a movie. Like in Wizards of Waverly Place.
Yeah, do a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Disney.
do a movie.
4 seasons a movie, and then they got
Another
a
movie.
special.
Another
Oh, yeah,
movie.
a special, yeah.
So
Get a movie and a special. Wizards of Waverly Place has that. Phil the Future should.
I'm pretty sure that everyone involved with Phil the Future would love to come back and do a movie. Would love to come back and do.
And they have a streaming service for it, so
Come on.
Definitely. Even if it's not a Disney Channel, put it on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus original. Yeah.
Disney Plus.
Yeah. And our whole conceit is time travel, even though on the show they didn't do much time traveling. But there's certainly a story out there. And I've been tinkering with an idea and maybe, can get in communication with the guys who created the show originally. But I think
that would be awesome.
I think fans would be into seeing the, 20 years later cast of Phil the Future with maybe some new characters and stuff hopping around.
Yeah.
See what Curtis is up to then.
I mean, look at Evan Peters. He only did a few episodes of I don't know how many episodes he did of our show, but he was a very funny character on Phil the Future. And he's a phenomenal star right now. I love everything I see him in.
X-Men?
Horror Story and
X-Men.
X-Men. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Phil the Future episode?
Well, I'm partial to Meet the Curtis because it was the first. It's where you met my character. And now on Disney Plus, it's the first episode you see, but really it was the 5th episode I think we shot, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Because of the reasons I told you.
Yeah.
So Meet the Curtis, there's one that happens in a natural history museum. I'm going to forget what it's called, but it's directed by Fred Savage. And I remember that was a good one for Curtis and Phil. And there's an episode called Where's the Wizard? And that's the one episode that I directed. And I really enjoyed that process. But also, I was supposed to be directing an episode that I wasn't in so that I'd be able to focus on directing and not have to run back and forth in front of the camera. And somehow I ended up being in that episode a lot because it's all about Mr. Hackett ends up in control of their wizard. And so soon the whole world's going to find out they're aliens or time travelers or whatever he thinks they are.
Absolutely funny.
And that's a fun episode too. But I think I definitely remember how much fun it was to finish the first episode, that Meet the Curtis episode, and be just able to shift gears between Hackett and Curtis.
Yeah,
right.
I can definitely tell.
Yeah.
You also did Kingdom of Hearts too, as Randall as well.
Yeah, I there was a little window of time when I think maybe because I was on Phil the Future and had, was doing Aaron Stone and I think I had a little bit of a stamp of approval from Disney. For things. Yeah. So when they needed, originally it was because of Emperor's New School.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if David Spade was unavailable or he didn't want to do it or what, but they said, we're starting this TV show based on Emperor's New Groove and everybody's coming back except for Kuzco.
Yeah.
And so, can you do a Kuzco? And so I auditioned with everyone else, but I think maybe because I'd done these other Disney things recently, they were like, oh yeah, we like you as Kuzco. And then because I did Kuzco, and I may get the timeline wrong, but maybe because of that, they gave me a shot to do Steve Buscemi's character from Monsters.
Randall.
Monsters
Inc. and Incorporated.
I'll be the top scarer if it's the last thing I do.
Yes.
And so, I would do some sound-alike stuff, and I'd always, tried to mimic characters I'd seen on TV and in movies.
That's awesome.
I remember
that's awesome.
Little kid doing a whole, Darth Vader interrogates Princess Leia scene and playing, Vader, Leia, and Grand Moff Tarkin, doing all the characters, all the voices and stuff. So, that's how I ended up doing Kingdom Hearts. Very long way for me to in Kingdom Hearts, I'm sure I play Randall in one of the Kingdom Hearts. I don't know if Kuzco's in it. Is he?
He should.
I don't think
he might be.
It might just be in
much Disney Channel characters get in. I think it's mostly mainstream Disney, Walt Disney movie characters.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Do you still keep in touch with anyone from Phil the Future?
Yes, I do. I haven't crossed Amy Bruckner's path in a long time. I know she's a lawyer these days.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That's interesting. Wow.
But I've traded messages with Ali Machaca, and Lisa Sims was a friend before we even did the show.
Oh wow!
She played Mrs. Diffie. Craig Anton and I are still really good friends.
Craig would be awesome.
Do you still talk to Raviv?
And Raviv, I actually have gone and seen him in plays, and if I think he's in town right now, and we have talked about, we got to get together for lunch, or we got to go see an LAFC game. I'm a big fan of the local Major League Soccer game and stuff. So
he'd be cool to get on the podcast in the future.
Who am I forgetting? That's
Allie.
I know you said Allie.
You said
I think Allie's performing here.
Yeah, with her sister.
Yeah, because I know
they're on tour right now.
Kind of back.
And I hope I'll be able to catch their show. I know it's at the Wiltern at the end of May.
Yeah,
Memorial Day weekend. So I've got to see if we're going anywhere, if I can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So since we mentioned a little bit about it, what was it like? Of course, getting to voice Kuzco on Emperor's New School.
Super cool, super fun.
Love
stressful
that show.
In the beginning because
both of them.
In the very beginning, they really wanted me to sound exactly like David Spade.
Yeah.
You can do
pressure. That must have been really.
Yeah, it's
a lot of pressure.
I'm kind of a high-pitched nasal guy anyway, so my way into David Spade was actually kind of doing a Fran Drescher impression, the nanny. You know her? Just being sarcastic and and I think originally when I was doing the first episode or two, before I did the show, I did a video game that I couldn't get a hold of him to do the voice of Kuzco for a CD-ROM game or something.
Yeah, probably.
And that was the first time actually that I did Kuzco. And for that, they might have pitched me up or down, or done some audio effect on my voice that made me a little closer to him naturally. So I was doing the character, I was doing the attitude and stuff, but and these were all my line deliveries. But to make me sound like him, there was a little technical work that was happening originally. And then once we started doing Emperor's New School, the producers and Disney Channel just kind of went we like what you're doing as the character enough. We don't want to put all this extra pressure on you to sound exactly like him. And there are some actors, I'm friends with some out here who are just phenomenal sound-alikes. They study and they work on it, and they make sure they nail it. D. Bradley Baker, James Arnold.
D. Bradley Baker is awesome. He
does.
Jamie Taylor. I call him Jamie because I knew him when he was 6 years old.
Yes.
We grew up in Santa Barbara together. He was one of my very first friends.
I love his work. Ratchet and Clank.
Oh my God. He does Obi-Wan Kenobi too, right?
Yeah. I think he does. Yeah.
I believe he also did Johnny Test.
His list of celebrities that he can sound like is just.
We need to get him on here. I'd love to talk to him.
So Kuzco's awesome. I know you also voiced Kuzco on an episode of another one of my favorite Disney cartoons, Disney's House of Mouse.
Yes.
We are all fans of House of Mouse here.
Love House of Mouse.
We love House of Mouse.
I'm not sure.
Very cool show.
I feel like I might have gone in to do specific recording for it, but sometimes some of that stuff is
archived. Yeah.
So I look at my own resume on IMDb sometimes, and I'm like, did I really do that? Because I don't remember doing it. And it's they took
IMDb can
your voice from something and they used it over here. So I was very happy to find out that House of Mouse is awesome, because I don't know that I ever actually went in and performed it.
Speaking of House of Mouse,
you're not the first, and you
House
definitely won't be the last.
House of Mouse. If you Disney, if you're watching, put it on Disney Plus, please. Come on.
Yes.
How about this show? this is not on Disney Plus.
Aaron Stone.
I would love to binge watch it because I remember watching it,
Aaron Stone would be cool. That was, I think, Disney XD's first show.
We were the flagship show for Disney XD. That's right.
Yes.
It
Put us on Disney Plus. We'll get paid, Matt.
No, that's
We'll
fine.
get paid,
What's
Jake.
that?
You'll get a better job.
Yeah, we'll get paid finally.
It
For
was
like a
popular
year.
in a lot of other countries, I think, because I know it's all over YouTube as like dubbed in other voices and things like that.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
But no, that show is not yet available, and it should be. I think you can download episodes. You can go to maybe iTunes and,
Yeah, I
and
think so,
rent
yeah.
specific or buy specific episodes. But I think Disney Plus is trying to have all things Disney on there. And
Yeah, and that is a Disney property, even though Disney because
That's a
Yeah.
Disney property.
is on there,
Mhm.
so why not add that?
The only thing I
Right.
can think might be an issue is we filmed Aaron Stone in Toronto, Canada, and so it was a Disney show, but the production company was Canadian, and maybe at that time, maybe because no one could predict that Disney Plus would be in the future. Maybe they still have lawyers who need to hammer something out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Do you,
It is a show I know people would like to see.
do you have a favorite Emperor's New School episode?
Oh man.
Mhm.
You know, it's funny because some of them are only like 12 minutes long. Like there's
Right.
Yeah.
there are episodes that are the whole sort of half-hour slot, and then there are episodes that are where they do 2 episodes in one slot, like ninja
Yeah.
episodes. I remember I did one with Harlan Williams where he played some sort of douchebag character. And I remember that was fun because
There you go.
rarely are you in the room with the other actors. Like I'm almost never in a room recording with, Melina or, Pacha or any of their, characters and the brilliant actors who voice them. But I remember being in a room like with Harlan Williams and like actually on 2 mics doing scenes together. But I'm ashamed that I can't tell you like what that episode was called or even what the plot was.
I mean, episode names sometimes are hard to remember. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember I got to sing sort of in maybe the last episode. There was like a disco version of a song that I remember I got to do.
I really like the Halloween episode.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's good. Yeah.
The Halloween one's really good.
There's one all about corn.
Yeah.
Trying to remember this. Which,
Oh yeah.
Besides you and Patrick, the series is amazing, especially for rest in peace, Eartha Kitt.
it's. I know you didn't mean this to sound like an insult, but what I heard was besides you and Patrick.
Yeah.
The series was great.
You guys are good. Eartha Kitt's also amazing.
Besides you guys, the series is fantastic. Thank you very much. It's
Yes.
and Patrick.
Yes.
We need to get him on here. I love to talk
He's
to him.
terrific and was very nice when I was doing the Get Smart sort of spin-off movie. While they were filming the Get Smart movie with Steve Carell and Hathaway, production was shooting at the same time this sort of like direct to DVD, smaller movie that was called Get Bruce and Lloyd, where the 2 guys at control. And it was, I remember it was like one of the very few days in Los Angeles when it's pouring rain. And they wanted him to play Jaime, the robot. And I don't think he was going to do it. I think he was going to like blow it off, pass on it and stuff. And I had asked, because we'd done enough Emperor's New School together, I was like, it's a scene with me. It'll be so much funnier if I get to do the physical comedy with you and stuff. And he was like, okay. So he showed up and he played Jaime in the, because he was already, I think, playing Jaime in the big movie, but he wasn't going to bother to do the lesser movie. But anyway, we did this thing, and then it ended up getting cut from the regular movie, but they put it on at the end with like the end credits. So if you ever watch Get Bruce and Lloyd Out of Control, Get Smart, out of control, Get Bruce and Lloyd, whatever it's called.
We'll have to watch it.
we do have a scene together at the very end.
That's awesome.
Patrick's awesome. I mean, he's Joe Swanson, of course. Family Guy is amazing.
He's
amazing.
I think by his own admission, he's maybe not the most versatile vocal actor in the world. Yeah, a lot of his characters have the same kind of but what he does so well and better than anybody. So
for sure. All you guys are on Emperor's New School, like all the wonderful actors on that show.
Oh my God, how about all the people who breeze in and just do like Mr. Molaguaco or whatever, like we had Rip Taylor did a voice. We had Ben Stein. We had Eartha Kitt until she passed. God rest her soul. She was still like, she wouldn't physically come to LA to record. I think it was on the East Coast, maybe somewhere in Massachusetts, wherever she was.
Oh, wow.
But I would walk in sometimes and they'd still be listening to the recording session they'd just done with her remotely. And I was like, it was John Goodman. It was Eartha Kitt. It was
awesome.
The first season of Emperor's New School, I don't think we didn't have John Goodman. And then I think his own grandkids were like, why are you doing this? And he's like, all right, fine.
He's awesome as well.
Unfortunately, the guy who was voicing Pacha for the first season of the TV show lost his job to the original Pacha. And now, this is a nice long segue. Now I've basically lost my job, I think, back to David Spade. Because there's some new Emperor's projects in the works. And yes,
my gosh.
I have been informed that I believe Mr. Spade would like to reclaim his character. So.
Oh.
Well, you definitely had an amazing run as Kuzco. I will say
that for sure. It was super
cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you've definitely been amazing on the replacements as well.
And that was when I was saying, like, there's a little window of time where, like, got sort of like the rubber stamp. Like JP's okay. Like, let him do this. Let him do
this show. Let's put him on this Disney show. Let's put him on this Disney show.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Matt, I don't think you've asked a question. How about you ask?
No, it's about time. Thank you. Been waiting here for a while.
That's our new thing. #blame Jakey every episode.
Let me ask a question, guys.
I hardly ask questions. I blame Jakey.
It's okay.
It's
fine. That's fine.
I watched one of your previous episodes with Stephanie DeBruzzo, who I don't know if DeBruzzo or DeBruzzo, but she went to Northwestern also. She's a couple years younger than me.
Oh, wow.
And I watched, that was like an hour and 45-minute podcast or something. And I'm going to see if I can talk.
My God.
I'm going to see if I can talk.
Matt's still in a fever dream.
I still am. That's one of my favorite episodes. I feel so many people watch that episode. I feel it's amazing.
It's so great.
Brilliant. What is the most challenging part about acting?
If you're lucky enough to be on a show where you're not just working one day, where you're like, it's a 9-day drama episode. Usually they try to knock them out in like 8 days, I think now. For a drama, or if you're on a show that's shooting every week and you're almost working every day, it's stamina and like taking care of yourself. It's the hardest thing, is like, because the camera, more so than ever with all these incredible HD lenses and stuff, like if you're tired and if you're not on top of your game, it will be caught. There's no faking.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yes. People will notice.
For me, it's not hard to learn dialogue. I for some reason, like, easier for me than for a lot of people. It doesn't mean I can retain it for more than a couple of hours, but I'm able to take 4 or 5 pages and score it, figure out the sort of music of the scene, the moves of it, and then I may screw up a word or two here or there, but like I can learn dialogue and be ready to perform it quicker than some people. But
there you go.
But it can be grueling if you're shooting on location. If you're doing a show with
yes,
this one, Aaron Stone, we were often outside in the cold with fight sequences and stuff that Kelly Blatz, he was basically being like a real Batman or James Bond. That kid had to do, and he was a kid at the time, he was doing a lot of physically exhausting work on a show where he was in, almost every scene. So that's hard.
Right, yeah.
But it's so much fun when you get to collaborate with smart, funny people. That part makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Indeed.
So we talked a lot about some of the projects you've done over the years. Can you share any projects you're working on now?
Working on right now. Let's see. There's I recently did one little bit in a movie that's going to be called, because sometimes it's like working titles and then they change the name to something else.
Yeah.
It was called Craft Me a Romance. I think it's gonna be like a Hallmark Channel type Lifetime Channel movie. But I think
my mom's gonna like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she runs a small crafting store, and like the son of the man who owns Michael's comes to town, and like, oh, they're gonna buy out the small.
There you go.
Falls in love with like the rich guy who owns here. I'm totally spoiling the whole story. Anyway, it's I don't think it's going to end up being called Craft Me a Romance. It's going to get a different title, but anyway. So that's work I've recently done that you will be able to see on your
probably Hallmark
TV at some point soon.
That's mom will be watching it.
Yeah.
My mom probably will watch it too. My mom loves Hallmark movies.
Same here.
And then I was during the pandemic, the movie Nobody came out. With Bob Odenkirk, which was a lot like a John Wick movie.
Oh, wow.
Like a suburban dad. If you guys haven't seen that already, I highly recommend. You can, I don't know if it's on Netflix or HBO Max, where it is right now, but find Nobody. I have a very small part in it, but it's a really funny and fun action movie starring Bob Odenkirk. So check that out.
I have both Netflix and HBO Max, so if it's on one of those, I would definitely watch it.
I have HBO Max,
It might be on Netflix. I'm not sure. It's one of them. So I didn't die in that. So if they make Nobody 2, hopefully my character can come back. Otherwise, I'm auditioning all the time for stuff. Since the pandemic started, what used to be the every now and then self-tape has become all auditions pretty much are self-tape. I can't tell you the last time I went into a casting office, or to an audition.
Times have definitely changed.
Yeah, I usually, I'll pull that picture off the wall and rotate it so you can pull in closer, so it's just a blank background. And I do self tapes all the time for auditions. I haven't done a commercial in a long time. There was a window of years where I was one of the Fruit of the Loom guys, and I would have no problem selling underpants on TV again. So, I don't know exactly what I can tell you is coming out. Oh, I know. You might see me in Babylon at Christmas. I think Christmas. It'll be a limited release, and then in January, I think it'll get a wide release. And again, these are like small bits in big movies, but I'm pretty sure you'll see my face in it. And Babylon stars Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and it's about the silent era becoming the talkie era in Hollywood.
I just looked up that movie you were talking about, Nobody. It's on HBO Max.
I will definitely watch it.
Me too. Yeah, I have HBO Max. Yes.
I'm pretty sure I think it was like 3 or 4 scenes, and then they completely changed the plot in editing. So you'll see me looking, this is a spoiler, you'll see me looking at a computer and saying like, what the fuck? And I'm reacting to something completely different than what they show. What they show is not what I was reacting to when we filmed it. And I'll just let you imagine what was really going on.
No, you know what you do for auditions? You just take the Aaron Stone poster and be like, I was in this.
Don't you people know who I was?
I was Curtis the Caveman, Mr. Hackett. Like, come on, Kuzco. Like,
I had a laser that came out of my eye.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was in this. Hire me.
Yeah.
I was in this. Hire me.
But now I need glasses. Yeah, I don't have perfect laser vision anymore.
Go ahead. So since we're kind of getting close to wrapping up here, is there any advice you'd like to give to anyone who wants to get into acting?
You have to really want to tell stories. You have to really want to be a storyteller. You can't just want to be on TV or in movies. Like,
you got to have like a legitimate passion for it.
Well, and here's why. It's like there's nothing wrong with wanting to pursue fame. And in the last 20 years or so, we've got reality TV showing us that like there's a lot of value in people who are kind of just famous, not necessarily for a special talent they have or whatever, but for being a personality on TV and stuff. And like, I watch my wife and we watch all that Housewives stuff and Below Deck and all that stuff. But that's very different than wanting to be an actor. And so because in 2006, YouTube, 2005 or 2006, YouTube suddenly allowed everybody to get online, including yourselves. There are a bunch of people who I think have forgotten that like it takes a lot of nuance and experience to know how to keep a character consistent, to have to understand a script, which if you work on plays, you will learn how a story is told through scenes and, what maybe is extraneous and what's super important. You figure out, where in the dialogue something really has to pop and people have to get it and what you can just breeze through. All of that stuff comes from working with writers and directors and other great actors. So my again, very long answer, but my core advice for somebody who's interested in acting is work with other storytellers, work with writers, work with directors, work with other actors. Don't just try to get your face on the internet. Ultimately, it'll help if you have a big followship, because that's the nature of the business right now. There are definitely producers and casting directors who are more interested in some other actors besides me because they have, 500,000, 1 million followers or whatever. But at the end of the day, like if you're going to be able to do this, you got to learn how to do it first.
Exactly.
Yes. Which is this is a good answer.
Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to say to your fans? Fans of your work?
Find me on Twitter and Cameo.
I'll follow you. I'll follow you after.
I promise to announce something exciting coming down the pike as soon as I have something to announce.
I guess that kind of answers the next question. Where can people find you?
So I feel like it's been. Matthew, how about you ask this question?
What?
You've only done it once.
Your last one?
Yeah, you've only done it once. Come on.
Yeah.
So what do you think of when you think of nostalgia? Like, how do you define nostalgia?
I mean, it's when I'm nostalgic about something, I'm remembering how great it felt to be witnessing whatever that was at that time or participating whatever it was. It sounds like a really weird, cold answer. It's I think nostalgia is it's the best of remembering the best of an experience. So I'm remembering loving watching late night TV, with my mom. I'm nostalgic for when I was 8, 9 years old or whatever, and watching comedy on TV after I wasn't supposed to. It doesn't necessarily mean that I at the time really got all the jokes, or
probably went over your head.
But it felt great. And we have a device in our kitchen that's like, I almost said Alexa. I have to say it very quiet or she'll wake up. I don't say Alexa. We have this Amazon Echo that has a little screen on it. And what's great is it has this slideshow of photos, of our entire relationship. My wife and I have been together for, 12 years, 13 years. And so we've gone on all these trips and we've done all these super fun things together. We don't think about them all the time, but when a picture pops up on that little slideshow, I get very nostalgic for, that day when the sun was setting and we were on top of Machu Picchu or whatever. We've had some cool trips and adventures and experiences together. I'm nostalgic for all of them because I've got these great photos. What I don't have pop up there is me getting a little altitude sickness or getting stung by giant mosquitoes or things like that. I choose to forget that thanks to nostalgia.
So
before I didn't ask this. Would you come back on the podcast in the future?
Sure, I'd be delighted to. Thanks, man.
Patrick Warburton.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yes, thank you, JP. Thank you so much.
You are definitely worth it.
Nice to meet all of you guys. Good luck with the rest of
thank you
it.
so much.
It's been an
Thank
absolute
you.
blast.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute
Jakey,
blast.
before the guest leaves, how about you say your thing to the guest like you always do?
Yeah.
And don't be cringy with it, Jakey.
Don't
It's
be
okay.
saying. Take
It's
it away.
okay.
Pressure.
No, don't give him
A lot of
ideas.
pressure, Jakey.
Yeah, a
Don't
lot of
mess it
pressure.
up.
Don't mess
It's
it
okay.
up.
Wait,
We-
I don't know
we-
what's coming.
We've
What am I supposed to do?
Jake's just gonna deliver like the last words.
We've only been doing this 41 episodes.
Just finish up
Constantly
the
messes
episode.
it up.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
always find some way to mess it up.
yeah.
That's something I should say before you're our 41st guest.
41st,
Yes.
A lot of it.
You are.
Doing a lot of episodes. We've been doing this for almost a year now.
almost
Yeah,
a year.
We turn a year in July.
Congratulations. Are you going to have a
Yes.
Thank
cake?
you so much.
Hopefully we can have a
Hopefully.
cake. That'd be
Well,
funny.
why-
I hope so. That'd be awesome.
Well, each of us will buy the same
Try to
cake.
bake the same like cupcake, and we'll see how they turn out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
Great, I'll do
Of a
it.
cake. We'll
I'll
each
do it.
get a piece of a
Uh,
cake.
Let's
Yeah.
see if that can actually happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jake.
Jakey,
close
go
us
ahead
out.
and do it. Or let Matt do
Mess
it.
this
Matt
up,
has.
Jakey.
Let's change it up. Matt, how about you do it? You haven't
Yeah.
talked much.
So Jakey didn't. Mess
Oh
it up.
boy, yeah.
Matt-
Jakey doesn't get to
Matt
mess
can
up.
actually do it right.
Jakey doesn't
we
get.
spent that
Yeah.
time building up
You
all
guys
this
are
pressure.
something.
Come on, Matt.
We spent this
Yeah.
time building up all this pressure for Jakey not to mess it up, only to not have Jakey do it.
Yeah, I mean, Matt
That's
hasn't
true.
talk much during the
That's
interview
true.
anyway.
This
That's
podcast,
true.
this is
How about
something.
you both ended off?
is,
You both ended off together.
Wait, just for the record, I don't have to do anything, right? I'm just witnessing.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You both do it.
We're just witnessing this.
You both
I don't
do
even
it.
know what's going on. I'm just.
I
rolling
don't-
with the
I don't
How
punches.
about
know
you,
either.
Matt,
I'm
Matt,
just-
here's the thing. Jakey says the thing to the guest, and you
All right.
end it off. That's that.
Mhm.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Jakey.
Well,
Okay.
Well, JP, thank you so much for you be part of the show, and it's really absolute blast. And I'm glad for you to be a part of our childhood, to keep up the great work and see what's next
Yeah.
for you.
Thank you so much, guys.
You are definitely
Yes.
right, which
Welcome.
is, means
Yep.
a whole lot of.
Yep.
Yes, that's right,
Yeah.
right.
Matt, what do you guys
Yeah.
say now?
What? Oh.
Yeah.
After 5 minutes of me finally
Take it
saying,
away, Matt.
All right.
I thought he did a pretty good
End it
job.
Yeah. I did
Do
fine. You
not,
did fine.
do not remind me.
Oh boy.
Thank you, folks, for joining us. Thank you again to JP. It's been absolutely wonderful. Be sure to
Yes.
check us out on Spotify, Mixcloud, Apple
Amazon
Too many
Podcasts,
account of this.
Amazon
Audible, a lot of
Music.
places.
a lot of places.
Just go to our website.
Yeah, you'll
just go
find
to
them
our
all there.
website. Just go to
It's
the
all
website.
there.
and JP's social media
We
is
don't
going to
keep
be
track of how
down
many
below.
platforms
Yeah.
we're on.
His socials will be down in the description below.
Yep.
We are coming. We are coming up on a year, folks. We got some big stuff coming.
July.
Yep, that's right.
July, we got a big month ahead, so stay tuned. We got some more episodes on the way. Thank you for joining us, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, and whatever you are. And always remember, stay
You're worth it.
nostalgic.
And you're worth
Yes,
it.
and you're worth it. See you next time,
See y'all
everyone.
next
Bye.
time. So long, everybody.
See you next time on another episode of Jake's Happy Nostalgia Show. Be sure to follow us on social media and stream us wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Bye bye.